Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to start doing a couple of more focused tutorials on actually creating stuff. That would be a finished thing, which traditionally would have taken a very long time to create. But because we're going to be using a bunch of AI tools, we're going to enhance our ability to create and actually finish the project, which is sometimes a curse for some creatives. So we're going to take you through the process I used to create these two albums here. These are both generated with Udio, so udio.com. And like I said, we've done videos in the past on how you actually do that. You can see here I've used Drift Funk, Rare Funk, Hardbag, the Vapor Trap, Rare Funk, Russian Rock. And actually, it was Russane. I've deliberately misspelt that as well, because that's something that actually does work. See, this is the funny thing. If you play a guitar, you know of ways to twang the strings, which aren't necessarily obvious to anybody who would come along and pick up a guitar. And that's part of the skill set. And in that case, what we're doing is we are exploiting the natural language processing in accordance with the tokenizer to produce some kind of effect. If we like it, we continue to use it, and then that becomes called a technique. Okay? So essentially, I've got a bunch of tracks here. What I did was I generated probably about 100 songs with similar prompts. And then just by listening to them, I've decided, these 41 tracks are good. So they proceed to the next round. And what that means is they go from being 2-minute tracks, which is what comes out of the model, to being something which we might extend. And obviously extensions, every time you extend for 30 seconds, you can put in additional prompts. You can change up the config settings. And ultimately, you have to choose between two or more if you do multiple re-rolls, I guess. And essentially, some of it will come out crazy, some of it you won't like, and some of it you will like. And so then you use that for the next extension point and obviously you have the option to add an intro, add an outro, add a section before or after when you go to extend. There's also in Paint and Remix. So this has got a similar level of control to if you were looking at it inside something like Audacity. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take the extended songs, right? So now we've finished them. They're about 3 to 5 minutes each, and we've extended them. Some of these are actually originals that I ended up making in the process of extending. So I got a couple of bonus songs in this one. And I called this one 0924 because that's when I generated them, September last month. However, these are extensions, okay? So as you can see, these are actually more than 2 minutes and 11 seconds. That's how you know it's not just a raw Udio prompt song, because they all come out at 2:11 if you don't edit or do anything to them. So then obviously we've extended some of them by quite a lot. And then we're going to do the mastering process. So quickly, you can find the mastered version over on the SoundCloud. All right. So this is all the same tracks from the Udio, but mastered. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that in a second. And then, what was it? This weekend, we came back and we did 1024, which is the October version. And this is like the LP album. So this has got a lot of the same tracks from the EP, but not all of them, because there were some new tracks for the EP. And then the LP has got all of the tracks. I think there's a few new names, but most of these are 2 version. So essentially it's like the second time I've done, so not the first draft, basically, guys. But yeah, this album is good. And like I said, I put it up as the Iconoclaust LP over on SoundCloud. I don't promote these because I see this as educational material. If people listen to them, great. But I find I'm really trying to show you that you can create what you want to create. And when you're happy with it, you can go ahead and put it up online. I think it's important to learn the tools because you can use this with your own work. That's my point. So anyway, we're going to be taking a look at Audacity. You can grab that from their website, audacityteam.org. Or we're going to take a quick peek at Audition, which is the Adobe offering of the same thing. Obviously, one of them is paid and one of them is free. So you've got 2 options there. It's going to be almost identical what we're doing. Audition just allows you to do some stuff with batch processing. Audacity, you tend to have to do it all one by one by one by one. But maybe you guys know of a way to do it with Audacity and batch, because like I said, I specialize with the Adobe stuff, but I like to use Audacity just to have an alternative. So that's that. Let's jump into the software and take a look. Okay, so we're going to start off with Audacity. This is the free one. So let's just throw a track in there and I'll show you basically what the idea is, okay? So we're going to select the track and then we're going to Control A. So it's selected now. And then we're going to take a look at some of these. Now, I believe I've got myself some kind of batch thing in here, like a favorite. I might be getting confused with Audacity. I think I am getting confused with Audacity. So what I tended to do was write down what it was that I did. And if I remember, I tend to do compressor first. And then I'll do a normalize, I think. And then after that, I might do an amplify. And there's also a parametric EQ in there somewhere. Now, I've got these TDRs here, and I do like the VOS, but I'm not sure if I've installed that myself or if it came with Audacity. So it's a little bit like, whoop. But essentially, if we just take a quick look at this now, the settings might be different in other software, but essentially we're going to do a compressor, and I'll just leave my settings on the screen because I don't think these are defaults. I think these are my settings that I use. Although, you know, I'm trusting the fact that it remembered my settings, which is a little bit sketchy. All right, so we're going to apply that. And then while we still have it selected, we're going to go with the normalize. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the amplify. I should have, hang on, let me open that last one again real quick. Where's the normalize? I didn't let you see what I have. Okay, so I've got that. All right. And then finally, I'm going to do an amplify, which is pushing it back up again, basically. It's weird, like normalize cuts it down by 3, and then I use amplify to boost it back up again by 3. And then you end up with like this clean signal, which peaks it does still peak, but look, there's only one there. So I think it's pretty good. I'm not going to bother playing it back because I think the desktop audio is muted anyway. You can go ahead and listen to the tracks on SoundCloud. So, you know, you've got plenty of options. Like you get the original you can listen to on Udio, and then you've got the mastered version, which is up on SoundCloud. So you can listen to both versions and compare them there if you want. I just wanted to give you a rough example. And like I said, there are many formulas for how you might add but for how you might master. And you might spend a lot of time, like I said, if I go into my slick EQ, something which I do like doing. Oh, look, mastering 1. Okay. You know, I'm not going to play it, like I said, because it will cause audio loops and stuff. But yeah, there's multiple things. There's also something else. Somebody said to me that there was a way to remove this low frequency noise. Obviously you can do a low pass, but that's not really what you want. You want to get rid of the exact frequency. I don't think it's in here. I think maybe I did that in Audacity. Okay, so I'm not going to do that, by the way. I just wanted to show you that you've got a lot of options with the free version before we jump into how I did it, which was with Audacity. So shut that down. Okay, now we're back in Audacity. We can take a little peek at how I do this with the Adobe approach. So we're going to take the same track, echoes, throw it in there, and I'm just going to do it here first. We won't look at the batch stuff yet. So if I open it up, this is my track, right? It's a little bit more detailed than Audacity, but I'm sure you can get plugins to get this sort of interface. So what I have is I've created Auto Master. I'm just going to have a look at what Auto Master is. Okay, so it looks like parametric equalizer first, dynamic processing second, and then mastering. Now, can I take a look at what each one is? Yes, I can, but it's on the wrong monitor. Okay, so this is what I've used for my parametric equalizer. It's a custom, unfortunately. Okay. So, like I said, I'll leave that on the screen for a few seconds. You can pause it up if you want to copy that. Okay, and then if I open up my dynamics processing now, custom again, I'm afraid. Pretty simple though. Just a slight change been made there. We have more settings here that you have to worry about. I don't think I went in there and changed those, to be honest, guys. I think it's just the graph. Okay, so that's my dynamics processing. And then finally my mastering. Now this is the bit that was fun for me. Setting up some of the widener and stuff. This was quite fun. I had a lot of fun messing around with this. Like, you obviously got to listen to see what you like, you know. This is why I'm saying, like, each of these should be customized to what you like. Okay. Don't just blindly copy mine, but just see the options that you have under your control. All right. I think final selection is just done. Cool. Save it, I guess. All right. Yeah. There was another one I've been working on, which is called Last Rack. But I think that is in here with Super Denoise. No, I must have gotten rid of it. Now I just have Super Denoise. So Super Denoise, is that in here? So I can have a look at that? Yeah, it is. All right, so Super Denoise is something I've been experimenting with. And when I say super, it's actually less than default. Normally it puts it on 40%. And I found that 15% was actually a little bit better. And what it did was it kind of cleaned up the track a bit, because after you've done mastering everything, sometimes there's a little bit of a hiss or a hum, which I think is probably the result of the generation process itself. There's probably like some artifacts which tend to stack up. And I found that doing a light denoise cleans that up. But it does come at the cost of losing some fidelity. So I'm not sure if maybe it's a good idea to do the denoise first or last. I would think if you did it first, it's going to be more destructive than doing it last at a smaller degree, like maybe 10%. Obviously, you can also select which frequencies to denoise. So it might make more sense to focus on the lower frequencies if you've got the hum, and then focus on higher frequencies if you have the hiss. So, you know, this is pretty much what I'm suggesting anyway. And there's a bunch of other, see, heavy, which is the default, is 80, and light is 20. So when I say super light, 15 or 10. Yeah. And then the thing is, just in case you're interested, making your own favorites is really easy. So what I would do is just keep a note of the settings so obviously you apply effects and experiment and tune the sound as you want to. But ultimately, you're going to get to a point where you're like, I like this recipe. So then what you would do is you would load up a track like I have here. You would click the record button. Okay. And then you start doing stuff. So let's say I want to do, so let's go to favorites. I'm going to do auto master. And then I'm going to do super denoise. And then I'm going to save as. And I'm going to call it something else. So I don't really want to overwrite the master there. I doubt that'll save. I think I might have just, yeah. You can't, you can't do a bunch of favorites. You got to do it manually. I thought that might happen. Okay. It's always worth a blast, isn't it? So yeah, obviously you're going to have to go in and actually do the effects manually. So I'd have to come in and I'd have to actually pick all of the things I want. So let's say I want to do a de-esser, and I'll use a de-esser on low voice, reduce hi-hat bleed. Why not? To be honest, guys, there's like thousands of things that you've got in here. And let's do a stereo expander. Why not? And we'll put it on a wide field. This is probably going to blast the song and make it sound crap, by the way. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm just trying to give you an example. And then we'll do noise reduction, capture noise, but you can't do that, but you can't do that noise reduction. You got to do a different one. Adaptive noise, denoise, super light denoise, apply. Okay, now save it and stop it. And now we've got a new thing. And this one was like de-esser, expander, denoise. That's what that was. Okay, so it's essentially creating a favorite, right? And then that will come in handy when we want to take a bunch of different images. We want to take a bunch of different tracks. So now we're going to drop them all in here. And then we're going to apply the de-esser, expander, denoise, right? And be aware that you have to go into your export settings. You see here? Same as source file location, overwrite existing files. So the way I've got this set up is generally, and I'm breaking my rule here, this is an error, right? Because this is my original folder. So I loaded my originals in and started working on them. Now the originals have changed. What I would generally do is not that. I would generally create a new folder and put copies, and then I would load the copies in so that it can just literally overwrite those and then they're done. Obviously, there's lots of different approaches to this, but I find this to be nice and clean because all you have to do is duplicate the files. You know, you duplicate the folder, rename it, and then open the duplicated. And like I said, you can do multiple runs then with different configs and label them and then decide which one you want, which one's the best. You have to do a bit of work here, but obviously that's the point, isn't it? You know, if you want to be creative, you got to put some of yourself into it. And these are the sort of micro decisions that will form it being unique in the end. Anyway, so let's just close that for now. So if I was to, wait, actually, let's change this. So I don't want to overwrite. In fact, let's do same source, but don't overwrite. That might be really easy. We've also got it to remove files from the panel. So we're done. Close the files on completion. Okay. So let's just run that. We'll see what it does. Probably make a mess, but that's okay. So I was working on my original folder, which is bad because then you don't have the originals to work on again. Obviously, if you have the originals in a clean folder, then it's like easy to just duplicate that and then do another mastering session. Anyway, and you should really be like previewing. So one thing I didn't show you was when you are in the files section, we have one of our things open and we're trying to find out what effects are going to be useful for us. Okay. Let's say we're just going to use the special mastering mode, right? And we're just going to go for subtle clarity, for example, right? We might want to move these sliders in different directions, maybe pick tape or tube, and then you're going to want to do the preview play here so that you can actually hear it. So I obviously didn't show you that because we're not listening to the music right now. The desktop is muted because I want to focus on the process rather than the craft, because the craft is what takes you the time. You've got to sit there and go, does this sound good? And that's up to you. Okay. So like I said, preview is here. You can also turn it off and listen to it again. So you can, you know, when you're playing it, you can toggle so you can tell. Okay. So that's that. And then by the end of this, you've got your finished songs. Now I would always output everything as WAV because you want it to be an uncompressed format. And then you don't get compression issues. If you get compression issues after uploading it to a website, that's them. They compressed it. Okay. But you should always try to work with WAV or an uncompressed format of some kind. WAV is the most popular one. So probably the oldest too. All right. So that's everything. And like I said, you can always go ahead and, we need to switch back to my other screen. Let's go over there. So I think that just about wraps it up. Obviously, you can make any genre of music that you want, and you can do any kind of mastering formula that you want. Just remember to use those favorites, and you can batch process hundreds of tracks in seconds. Doesn't really matter. I think if you're not an Adobe user, you can still get it done with Audition. All of the basic stuff, all the tools and settings you need, like the compressor and the parametric EQs, all that stuff, it's all in both sides. It's just a question of the Adobe stuff has got a bit more polish on the interface, so it tries to make your life easier. But there's no real disadvantage to using Audacity instead, which is as it should be. So that's pretty much everything I got for you guys. Go ahead and give these albums a listen. Like I said, they've been created to try and help you with the process of learning so you can make your own albums. Very simple. Obviously, you can use Suno or Udio or any music generator for that matter. Doesn't really matter where you made the music or what with. Ultimately, you do need to do a little bit of processing just to get it up to scratch, and your listeners will appreciate it. So there it is. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. So, memberships are here. I've added donator and member. The donator membership is just you want to support the channel, help us grow. Member, you're going to get some exclusive video access. And check out the join now button for more information.